Welcome, beautiful soul, to this session for the full moon, August 2022. So come into a position that you can maintain a nice, tall spine. So I'm sitting on a bolster, and I actually find it easier to sit in this position than to sit cross-legged. If your knees are quite high up, a little bit tight in the hips, you can put blocks or cushions under your knees so that you can press down. When I first started sitting in this position, my knees were up a lot higher. Rest your right hand on top of your left, bring your thumb tips together, relax your shoulders, then start to look up as if you're trying to look at the space between your eyebrows. So start to feel your eyes going a little bit cross-eyed, feel the eye muscles working, keeping your eye gaze there, and slowly begin to close your eyelids. So keeping your focus between and behind the eyebrows, and just let your body breathe as you observe it. So observe your body, this physical vessel, as it's sitting, without judgment, without criticism, without trying to force or change the breath in any way. Just notice your body breathing. I always get students to check in to notice how they're feeling, because we're not robots and our energy changes, our mood changes. I've noticed over the last few months especially, I've had days where my energy is just so low. It's like having the flu, and it's like everything's such hard work. Then I realized that the Schumann resonance, the Earth's pulse, has been really erratic. And that really, especially if you're sensitive to energy, that can really affect you. And on those days, that is when you really need to focus on self-care and self-compassion, being kind to yourself, reminding yourself that you are not a robot, reminding yourself that, you know, say especially with everything that's gone on this past few years, that, you know, everything's kind of like erratic, and we're trying to hold our vibration, we're trying to be the light, and that means that you need to put yourself first. So simply observing yourself, noticing how you feel this moment in time, with no judgment, no criticism. Any thoughts that enter your mind, just observe them, let them go again. So this is the last supermoon of this year, known as the Sturgeon Moon, and it has a rebel-hearted energy. And often around this lunar phase, you can put our emotions in overdrive, but it can also create breakthroughs. We can kind of have insights, realizations, things that we thought we've dealt with coming back up, and it's often because we are now strong enough, we're in a position to deal with it. So if something comes up and you think, oh, I thought I'd dealt with this, just know it's layers and levels. We peel off one layer, we up level. We peel off another layer, we up level. So anything that may come up, remind yourself it's because you're strong enough, wise enough, powerful enough to deal with it. So this full moon is encouraging you to break free from convention and from expectations, either your own or other people's. And I often say, don't live down, or don't try and live down to other people's expectations. And it's time to embrace your individuality, to make your mark on the world and follow your passion without compromise. So you may find yourself inspired to make unexpected changes in order to facilitate a greater sense of freedom. And just keep this in mind. Sometimes there are many benefits to being a small fish in a big pond. I want you just to take a moment and think about why it is that most people don't even go chasing after their dreams. Now, I believe it's partly because we're hardwired to stay safe, which is just basically survival, and also because when we're living in fear, and let's face it, there's been a lot to be fearful about the past few years, when we're living in fear, we forget our divinity. Our energy is drawn down to our lower energy centers, and all we can think about is survival, food, shelter, water, and that's it. We forget our divinity, and it's like, oh, I'm not going to be focusing on that goal stuff, that dream stuff, that woo-woo stuff. I'm just trying to survive here. I'm back in the real world. And it came to me the other day when I was speaking to my guides that actually what we think of as the real world, we're actually getting drawn away from reality. We've got it back to front. When we're daydreaming and believing anything is possible and that makes us feel good, that's actually reality. Getting pulled back into, oh, reality, the real world, the way things are, we're actually getting pulled out of reality, which is why it makes us feel so rubbish. And the elite, the powers that be, have been using fear, suppression, worry to keep people disempowered for hundreds and hundreds of years. So as I say that, notice how it feels in your body. That one of the reasons you may not chase your goals and dreams is because you've forgotten your divinity. You've forgotten that you came here to live an exceptional life. That there is not a single living being on this planet who deserves to be a guest on this planet any more or less than you do. Not a single being, not like from the biggest millionaire to the smallest ant or earthworm. Not a single being has any more right to be a temporary guest, which is what we are, on this planet any more or less than you do. And when we remind ourselves of our divinity, of our power, then we can start to chase our goals and dreams, chase the things that are in our heart. So notice how it feels in your body when you think that. You might have a sense of release, you might have dropped your shoulders a little bit, you might have a kind of like, she's saying what I always swore I knew, but you know, what I see with my eyes, what I get told from other people, you know, people think I'm bonkers. That's okay. Take another nice deep breath in and out. And gently relax your eyes. Start to open your eyes. Release your hands. Gently undo your legs and ease yourself up to stand. Go nice and slowly, opening up the backs of the knees. Just let the upper body hang down. Feel that stretch from your tailbone to your crown. Bend your knees enough so that your back, your lower back can release. And keeping a nice deep knee bend, slowly start to curl up through your spine. And take your time, no rush. Come up as slowly as you need. And just take a second to kind of re-establish yourself, feeling the ground beneath your feet. If you were using a bolster, just pop that aside for the moment. And just taking the feet out into I was about to say a comfortably wide position, but not too comfortably. You want to feel a stretch in your inner thighs. Lift your toes, spread them out, and just very gently shift the weight forward and back a little bit. Feeling the weight in the balls of the feet and the heels. And imagine pulling up from your inner ankles to your groin. So really stretching out the legs, the thighs. Take a nice deep breath in, relax the shoulders. As you breathe out, start to slide your hands down your legs towards your feet. Don't worry if you're nowhere near. And once you get here, again, try and make sure the weight's on the whole of the foot. What tends to happen is we go back onto the heels, so keep the weight in the balls of the feet as well as the heels. If your back is really tight, you can bend the knees a little bit or a lot. It might even feel nice to inhale, bend the knees, and exhale, lift the tailbone, open up the backs of the knees as you stretch the crown of the head down. Inhale, bend, drop the hips a little bit. Exhale, open up the backs of the knees. Imagine aiming the crown of the head towards the mat. Breathe in and out. So really think of opening up the backs of the legs rather than slamming the knees shut. And release the hands. Turn the heels in slightly, and you're going to shift the weight from side to side, Skandasana. Shifting the weight side to side, a little side lunge, trailing the upper body. So the moon is also associated with the water element. So think of like watery, flowing, intuitive moods. Breathing in. Breathing out, loosening up into those hips. If you need to go a little bit slower, just go a little bit slower. And it doesn't matter if your hands don't touch the floor. Just think of fluidity in your spine, in your hips, in your whole body. Now come over to the right, fingertips to the floor, into a little side lunge. Then come across to the left. Turn both feet, drop the back knee and come into a low lunge, lifting your chest. And straighten the back leg, twizzle the feet. Exhale back into a side lunge. You can use your elbow to press that knee out. And inhaling across, twizzle both feet, drop the back knee, relax the shoulders as you lift your chest. Imagine hugging your thigh bones with your thigh muscles. So inhale, exhale, sink back into that side lunge, both feet flat to the floor. Then inhaling, travel across, turn, lift and open through your heart. Exhale, up and back. Once more. Inhale. Turn, drop the back knee, open through your heart. And exhaling, back into Skandasana, side lunge. And just straighten both legs, turn the toes forward. And forward into Prasarita Padottanasana. If you wish, you can try walk your hands through your legs. Imagine trying to touch the crown of the head to the floor. If not, hands on the floor or hands holding onto your ankles. Engage your legs, stretch from tailbone to crown. And bring your hands back through, turn your heels in again. This time come up and over to your left into side lunge. Skandasana, again, press that knee out. And you're going to travel over to the right. Turn both feet, drop the back knee to the floor into a low lunge. Imagine drawing your heart forward, sinking your hips to the floor. And exhaling, back into Skandasana. Inhale, up and across, lift the chest. And exhaling, back into Skandasana. You should feel nice on your hips. Keep those shoulders relaxed. Breathe in, draw your heart forward. Breathe out, shift back into Skandasana. One more inhale, travel across, drop the back knee to the floor. Exhale, shift the weight back. And come back to center, turn your toes, slightly pigeon-toed this time, so toes turned in slightly. If you can, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, bend your elbows, and imagine pushing your hands forward. Again, stretching from tailbone to the crown of your head. A little bit of a challenge, have a bit of fun with it. Walk your hands through the legs to the wall behind you, then start to shift your weight back onto your hands, bend your elbows, and see if you can bring yourself back down to sitting. Don't worry if it doesn't quite work out. Come back, bring your legs in, shake them out again, and bring yourself back into a seated position. We're going to do a little Kundalini Kriya, called the Kriya for Oneness. Now, in it, we use the word God. Now, I was always like resistant about using the word God because I've always been fascinated by religions, but you know, some religions have hijacked certain words, and I've always kind of been resistant. But now I just see it as God is in consciousness, or I call it the governance of divinity. So if you do feel resistance at using the word God, just think of that, governance of divinity. God is in energy, essence, the creator, source, rather than being attached to any particular religion. So we're going to start off clasping your hands, bring your thumb tips together. And all we're going to do is we're going to start chanting God and me and God are one. God and me and God are one. It's basically bringing us back to the sense of we are energy, we are consciousness, we are the same essence, the same energy as the birds, the bees, the sky, Mother Earth, this living planet that we are on, and we've kind of forgotten that. So you're just going to close your eyes and starting off quietly, and you're going to gradually get a little bit louder. So put aside any resistance, any kind of like, oh, I don't know, like doing this kind of thing, and just go with it. So eyes closed, let the breath breathe itself. Me and God, God and me are one. 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 Keep going and visualize the oneness. Visualize, see union happening. See yourself as the same essence, the same energy as everything and everyone around you. Me and God are one. God and 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 me and God are one. And placing your hands firmly on your belly, still eyes closed, begin the breath of fire. So short, light breath, pumping the belly like a dog panting, but with the tongue in. Make it so dynamic, we're not here for too long, make it so dynamic that you're almost bouncing off the seat. And Yogi Bhajan says, burn out the breath inside with breath of fire. Use your diaphragm, use your navel point. Become the strength of the day. You know if there's a glow on your face and your personality is smiling, you're walking tall and you have all the strength. Hundreds of people will love you. So really pump the belly, feel your shoulders moving. Move so that your shoulders jump like you're dancing. Feel like you're burning away any fear, any resistance in your body. Take a nice deep breath in. Hold it. Then breathing out, resting your hands back in your lap. Open your mouth, so you've got an O-shaped mouth. And we're going to breathe rhythmically and dynamically in and out through the mouth. So then like you've got a giant straw, and feel your diaphragm working, feel your ribcage expanding, feel your tummy muscles really pushing that breath out. Visualize drawing life force energy in and expelling it out, because life is a whole cycle of giving and receiving. With that kind of pulse in your body, so don't try and keep yourself rigid. Allow your body to move. So that slight lengthening of the spine as you breathe in, that slight contraction and release as you breathe out. Release. Turn to normal breathing. Keeping your hands clasped. Place your hands over your heart center. Pressing them against your center of your chest. And YogaVibe Jan says, squeeze the body of all false vanity. Take the breath in. Hold the breath and press your hands against your heart center. Holding it for as long as you can. Make the body like steel, like iron steel, totally with all your energy. So all hidden anger may just wipe you out, but wipe out itself instead. And breathe all the way out. Breathe in again. You can hold it, pressing your hands against your heart space. Hold. So instead of fear wiping you out, we'll wipe out fear itself. You need to breathe all the way out. This time breathe in. Hold it. Turn to your left. Come back to center. Turn to your right. Come back to center. Hold. Hold yourself as tight as you possibly can. Squeeze all your muscles. Imagine squeezing around your heart. Hold it. And when you need to, exhale, release. Release your hands and bring yourself straight into a Shavasana. So stretch your legs out a bit wider than hip width. Shake out the legs. Bring your hands, palms upwards. Close your eyes. Relax and just observe your body. See if you can observe with no judgment, no criticism, just simple curiosity. You're just noticing with curiosity, noticing how you feel now compared to when you started. See if you can imagine the body breathing itself. And focus on the life force energy that is that breath. The life force energy, the consciousness, the divinity that brought you and I into existence. The intelligence that determines if one seed turns into an oak tree and another seed turns into a flower. The intelligence that determines whether one cell turns into an arm and another cell turns into a muscle or an eye or a foot or a little finger. Because we can get lungs, heart, blood, bones, etc. put it together, but we cannot make a living being. So think of the air that comes into and out of your lungs. Think of looking up into the sky and going past the clouds, past the sunshine, going up and out of the Earth's atmosphere, up into deep space. Visualize the Earth from outer space. And think of the vastness. What is it that gives life to all of that? The energy, the life spark, the divinity, the consciousness, the divine intelligence, whatever name you wish to use. And you can visualize yourself as you zoom out, visualize seeing the moon, the glorious goddess moon, seeing the sun. And remembering that although we are but a speck of dust in this great universe, because even the Earth is tiny compared to other planets. And so on this massive planet that is smaller than other planets, we are the tiniest speck of dust, but we have earned our right to be here. There is an intelligence within us that has set us on this journey of life. And we did not come here to live a mediocre life. We did not come here to be slaves, to live a life of drudgery, to live a life of just getting by. That's not what we came here for. This whole universe is our resource, source energy. You are divine. I am divine. Everything that we see, that we touch, has come about because of our divinity, because of the creative spark within each and every one of us. The dreams, the goals, desires that are in your heart, whether they've been there for a few weeks or a few years, they are there for a reason. You are here to experience all the delights that life has to offer. And the only reason you have not so far achieved them is because you have been too fearful to chase after them, or because your fear, rejection, failure, etc. Imagine if you had none of those fears. Imagine if failure was not even a concept. Imagine if you could totally believe that you deserve to live an amazing life and that anything is possible, just as we thought when we were children. Notice how that feels in your body. You almost feel as if every cell in your body is starting to smile, is starting to say, now she remembers, now she remembers. Because the ancient texts were right. Man is made in God's image because we are all God. Gods and goddesses, we are all divine. We all have the right to be here. We all have the right to live an incredible life. And I am here to remind you of that. So feel that energy flood to the tips of your fingers and toes, right up to the crown of your head. Let every cell in your body come alive with the remembrance of who and what you are. You may stay and just simply enjoy being spacious, being energized. Or if you decide to end your practice here, just start to stretch out the arms and legs in whatever way feels good for you right now. There's no rights or wrongs. Just whatever way your body needs to move right now. And bringing yourself slowly back up to sitting. Get here, rubbing your hands together to activate your heart, to ground you. Remember, your emotions are your guidance system. When we feel bad, it's because we've lost connection with our source. So as I say, when we think we're being realistic, we're actually moving away from reality. We're moving back into that construct because so many other people say this is what reality is. We've bought into it. And it's like Chinese whispers, because so many people know this is reality. All that law of attraction stuff, that's all woo-woo stuff. I haven't got time for that. I've got to focus on reality. And actually, we've moved away from this is actually how it can be. This is how everyone else is saying it can be. But there are people up here. And we need to reconnect with our divinity. Namaste. Beautiful souls. So much love to you. If you have any questions, comments, please, please, please just let me know. Mwah.